Okay, I think we're ready to roll here. It's 6:32. I want to first introduce everybody, Kay, so that you understand you're the applicant. I'm David Carr. I'm chairman of the Development Review Board. We'll go to Pete next.
Pete Van Loan, member of the DRB.
Walter,
Walt Daddick, the secretary of the DRB.
and then below Al.
Al Weisbrick, member of the DRB.
Okay, and then we have the Goosiers that are your next door neighbors.
Yep, my name is Terry Boney.
John Hughes.
Okay, neighbors. And then you know down at the bottom is Dell Tessier, that's Merle, the zoning administrator. And David Hull, I forgot you. You're a member of the DRB?
Indeed, I am.
There you go. So we have 5 members of the DRB, and that's what we need. So now what I'm going to do, this is the first Zoom meeting we've had, so bear with everybody here. Let's go slow and try to get this together. I'm going to ask that everybody, we're going to swear everybody in, which is part of the procedure, that everybody is going to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Testify, okay.
Yes, from David Hall as
Okay.
well. Is
Okay.
it, David, is it a problem that I am not on video? Because I can be back in a few minutes if it's imperative or
As
important.
long as you can hear us and you can comment back to us.
Great.
And I'd like to try not to have too much interrupting. If somebody sort of has the floor, as they say, we would continue with that. So Kay, we went to your site this afternoon at 5 o'clock. And you were not there to tell us sort of the overall, but that's what we're going to ask you to start off with, is to tell us the gist of what you're intending to do. And Samantha, excuse me, we have one more. Samantha Harlow is now on the Zoom message. Samantha, on the bottom left-hand corner, there's a space unmute. Okay, we see you there. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, so Samantha is also on the Development Review Board. And Ken Esty, you're there?
I am here.
Okay, we can't see you at the moment, but you can hear us.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. So Kay, we've introduced you to, okay, so Ken Esty is the chairman of the Planning Commission. And in Newfane, the Planning Commission writes the bylaws and the Development Review Board, in certain circumstances, interprets the bylaw. And that's what we're going to try to take testimony and make some type of a decision. So why don't you, at this point, tell us your intentions?
It says the computer system. So I appreciate all the directions, but I'd already tried those, so I had to, sorry about that.
Okay, so everybody now can hear Kay, and what we're asking you to do is give a 25 words or less. No, just kidding. Give a description of what your intentions are.
Okay, my intentions would be to create a place where people could come, small groups of people, when it's allowed for small groups of people to come together again, to nature enthusiasts, yoga, to kind of spend time exploring, hiking. So the way we would use the property is probably like in my proposal, I put, 7 to 9 people would come with a yoga teacher or meditation teacher and spend 3 days there as a wellness retreat. So as a place for people to come and be in nature and take advantage of the opportunities in the community, to go to, cheese making workshops and alpaca farms, different activities that would provide for a more holistic approach to people's wellness.
Would there be, how many instructors or, if you have a certain amount of clients coming up, how many people are with if you had 7 people there, how many instructors or besides yourself, or whether you would even be there?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be there.
You'd not.
Right.
Okay.
So it would, the people who would be there, it could be probably one instructor, maybe an assistant, so a maximum of 2 people, in addition to the retreat client.
These would be your employees, or how would, or
No.
contract by you?
Yep, it's like subcontractors, so people that I know who are yoga teachers and looking for a place to go with people that they have in their community, or like a meditation teacher who wants to, you know, take people on a weekend to do a more in-depth training.
Okay, just one small point on the number of people. Your septic limits you to 7 people, so that, you said 7 to 9, so it'd actually be 7 people, including the instructors or managers. Is that right?
Yeah, that's if 7 people. I thought there was something about if it wasn't, if we're not staying on the property, if we're not on there the whole time, that it didn't have to be 7, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. The paperwork I've got just says 7.
Okay. So then it would be, you know,
You should have,
7 in total, with including the leaders or instructors.
I think that there is a permit that was received from the wastewater department, Agency of Natural Resources, I guess.
Oh, right. Mhm.
And again, that's not necessarily something that we're involved with, but it does say there's 4 bedrooms in the house. And if there were 2 people in a room, there could be 2 twin beds, and 2 people are in there that not related. It could be. I mean, people are going to be staying over, not
Yeah.
coming up and meeting on the same day. Okay.
It's actually it actually has 6 bedrooms. There's 4 bedrooms upstairs, and then there's 2 small rooms downstairs.
Okay.
yeah, but once again, you know, I think a lot hangs on the septic design. I mean, I don't want to get sidetracked too much on this and nitpick, but the septic design says 4 bedrooms, 7 occupants, up to 7 occupants. And I guess that pretty much defines what the limits are, or sets the limit, I think. I mean, again, this is kind of a side issue. Maybe we ought to get to the big overview first before we start picking nits. So I don't want to get sidetracked here, but something we ought to, you know, be aware of.
So again, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. So you own the house, and then some people you know that do yoga or are yoga instructors, they're going to say to their clients, 3 or 4 or up to 7 clients, we're going to go to this house in Vermont. We're going to stay there and do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it wouldn't, you know, it's not just yoga. So there'd be like a yoga practice a couple of times a day, and then there'd be hiking and swimming and.
And that would be more or less off-site? Like obviously there's no swimming there.
Right.
Somebody would be taking them to a swimming hole.
Or be going down to the river, you know.
Okay. Okay.
How would you get to the river? You'd go out to Route 30 and drive to the river, I guess.
Yeah, or biking, you know. There's a lot of people who like to bike and who ride.
And you're doing something like this right now in Massachusetts?
No, I'm a psychiatric nurse and a medical nurse. I work primarily with elders. So my business is around wellness, but this is more the preventative, you know.
So you wouldn't be bringing up any of your clients that have mental health issues? Is that?
No. No.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
I have a question. How much like oversight are you going to have if you said that you're not going to be on the premises necessarily when people are using the property? I mean, is this like sort of an Airbnb style thing? Are you going to advertise it to, you know, so any yoga instructor can contact you and say, hey, I want to rent your property, or how is that working?
Well, I think, you know, maybe eventually I would, you know, look into creating a website, but it's very small groups, and most people want to do large groups. So, or at least people who are looking to really make it financially lucrative for them. You know, a yoga teacher who brings 15 clients compared to 6, it's like the same amount of time, but a big difference in money. I mean, initially I would only be renting to people that I know. I mean, I plan to set up cameras there too in common areas, and make sure that everyone knows that there are cameras in common areas on the outside, especially so that I can be aware of, you know, how many and who's actually there and what kind of activities are taking place. And I'd have a, you know, a contract for people to sign about what they can and cannot do. And, you know, because there's a liability for me too. So I'd want to make sure that there are some things in place legally for protecting me and my property.
I would like to, if you had enough time explaining and we might have some more questions for you, but I'd like to ask is, anybody like a neighbor have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay.
Well, we have some concerns. Obviously, traffic is our biggest one because we have 2 dogs and a cat, and they're always crossing this road. The maintenance of the road, you know, I've done most of that over the years with John, and you know, being a private road, we already have very limited traffic, but sometimes when people come down here and don't know the road, they're already going too fast. You know, they don't realize that there's a house as soon as you turn off the road here. That's a big concern for us. I mean, even tonight when a couple of the review board members came down, they didn't realize the road kept going and they parked in my driveway, which, you know, how often is that going to happen? You know, that's a concern of ours. They didn't even realize that the road kept going. Mm-hmm. So, and the clients that you'll have coming, do they have any underlying like mental issues, or are they normal people, or is it people that need help?
No. So, and I think whenever I tell people I'm a psychiatric nurse, then a lot of my clients now don't have psychiatric issues, but as a psychiatric nurse working with elders, I work a lot with people who have dementia, and then other psychiatric diagnoses. But no, these are people who are focused on being healthy. So people who are already, I mean, there could be like a beginner's yoga, you know, class retreat that happens, but in general, these are people who are focused on health and wellness. Not to say that people with mental health issues don't have that kind of focus sometimes as well, but that's not like, you know, it's not a workshop for people who have schizophrenia and like coping strategies. Like it's nothing like that. It's meditation.
How would you recruit, or not recruit, but how would you get your clientele?
How would
you
determine that?
How would you advertise, or how would you develop your clientele?
Yeah. So initially, I mean, I've been doing yoga for 25 years and meditation. So I'm in the practice, you know, I have practices. And so I know a lot of people in the area, and I live about an hour from Boston. So in you know, suburbs, and some people that I know, yoga teachers, meditation teachers in Boston. and people want to go out into the country. So those are, I have a lot of resources in that way that I would tap for potential, you know, like there's a whole yoga wellness community. And that's where I would be looking to connect with people, to let, those are the people that I know, that I've known for years, that I would say, hey, you know, here's this property that could serve as a place to have a small retreat. Would you be interested? At least initially, and then, and there's so many people. I don't know that I would have to really have a, you know, a website. And I mean, the website would probably be for the teachers that I know to direct their clients who might be interested, or their, you know, their students or yoga students to go and like look at, like, this is what the rooms look like, or this is what the yoga space looks like. So that's.
And would you ever have, so would there always be somebody there that would be in effect organizing things and kind of managing the whole program?
Yes. So whoever is leading, that's what they would be accepting, that responsibility. Like and that's what they do. Like they lead and they organize, and they're responsible for the activities that happen, and, you know, keeping things on time. There's usually some kind of program, so that there's a schedule of what's to happen, and they're the kind of keep people on track with that.
Is there going to be food served there?
Everyone will make their own. So I'm avoiding like the serving food part of it. Like people will cook their own food.
Bring their own food and cook
Yeah.
their own food.
Yeah. So even if a nutritionist was to do a retreat, they would, you know, we're not serving food. So they'd be buying food, you know, at the farmer's market. That would kind of be one of the things that we would do, is, you know, what they would do is go to the farmer's market, buy food, and prepare it together. I want to just go back to Chris, right?
Yep.
Chris. So I would want it to be, you know, really clear and give everyone like a map and instructions about where the house is. And even when I just moved furniture in there last week, and I made sure that the people driving the trucks knew, you know, I said there are dogs in the area. It's a steep, you know, incline, decline, and so to make sure to go slowly. And that's the, you know, the third, you're going to go by two other houses. It's kind of hidden all the way at the end. So I just would make sure that that information is well communicated, and that people know to go slow. I mean, I have dogs as well, and kids, and, you know, we live on a road, and we put, you know, I have signs, we have signs, you know, in front of our house, but I think that with information, people would know not to go, you know, and a picture of what the house looks like. So, you know, this is where you're going. So ways that they could more easily identify what the destination is. And I would hope, you know, these are pretty typically environmentally conscious people. So there's not a lot of driving, you know, there's carpooling that would probably happen. And especially if people are coming from the same area. And if they leave to go, you know, places, I don't think it's like a coming and going kind of routine. I mean, we're really looking to not be hectic and to kind of slow everything down. So if there is an outing, there's not multiple outings a day, and people would pile into, you know, 2 cars.
I just want to say about the traffic that even with a family that rented it for about a year, there was a couple with 2 children, and one was a teenage girl driving, that the road from our parking lot to your house, the road has not been used much. And when people go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it became a muddy mess in the spring. And just to let you know that that road is really not equipped for a lot of people to be going back there.
Yeah. And I think it would be used less. I mean, even less than if I lived there. You know, like if I lived there and I was coming and going, I'd be, you know, at least a couple times up and down the driveway. And the way that by design this would work is, you know, maybe it's 3 sessions a month, you know, 2 or 3 to 5 days. So I think it would.
Well, not if you're having 7 people coming back and forth every week. I mean, that is a lot.
Right, if you have like that, yeah. And and that, you know, maybe there's something that then I would need to do to the driveway to better fortify it, you know, so that it's not falling apart. Or maybe, you know, Chris, in terms of if, you know, if I'm using the driveway or more than anyone, then I would have the appropriate share of the cost for maintaining it, you know, that it would be based on, if I'm using it more, then it wouldn't just be that we break it up into thirds or however. I mean, I guess that's a conversation we'll have as neighbors now. I don't know what the agreement is for, you know, how we all maintain it together. But I would think that I would be responsible for more if I have more people using it.
Excuse me, this is Al Weisbrick breaking in. Can somebody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you're on.
Okay, just wanted to let you know that my internet crashed or something. My computer crashed and I dropped out. So I had to dial in, and I just wanted to check to see whether I'm, you know, being heard on your side. I've been listening a little bit to what has been discussed, but I didn't get in from the very beginning. A question that may have been already answered is how many clients are going to be, the maximum number of clients that are going to be available at any one time?
Well, I think we started talking about that a little bit, and based on the septic design as a 4-bedroom home, the maximum based on that would be 7. I thought, you know,
7
there was 7. I remember talking, I don't remember all the details, so I'll have to look it up. So 7, that would be 7 in total. But I talked to someone based on that report, David, who said that if people weren't in the house all the time, then it could support more people based on the amount of time or something. But I'll look that up. But for now, the understanding is it would need to be a maximum of 7 people based on the septic design.
And are they staying overnight? And how long are they staying?
Mm-hmm. It could be 2 nights, could be 5 nights, probably would be the maximum.
So there's okay. And everybody would feed themselves using your kitchen?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is the parking available for 7 clients?
Yes. Yeah, there's 3 spaces, and I'm sorry, I had sent it.
You saw the site plan that you sent. It's pretty rough, you know, it's
pretty
not
basic,
scale, but I think we got an idea of, you know, where cars could park.
There's a fair amount of level space and graveled area in front of the garage, alongside the driveway, and to the right of the garage.
I guess my concern is that it seems real busy to me, and it's been a quiet road. I got concerns with the amount of space that you have to do this. It seems small to me.
You mean like the outdoor space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you have 1.4 acres of land, but a lot of it is on the hill. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's not much space.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
mean,
concern.
And so the, the outdoor activities, I don't think there'd be much outdoor activities there. We won't be gardening. There's not the garden space. That would be ideal. Have chickens and things, but that's, that's not a space that's workable for that. The garage, I'd like to convert to like a studio, like a yoga studio. So, but that again is an indoor space. So I think the outdoor time that we spend is, on the deck, relaxing on the deck, listening to the river. And then the being outside will be, going on hikes or bird watching, going biking, swimming. And then, so I imagine that a lot of the activity happens off the, off the property, or half the activity maybe. And then what's happening there outside, like you said, it's a limited space. And there aren't, there's room to do like an outdoor yoga class with a small group of people, but, and even like setting up easels and doing some painting, there's room to do that with a small group of people, but, we wouldn't be playing flag football or, anything that requires any kind of space.
If I may interject, it sounds to me like you're really running a quasi hotel with some side activities, if I may be so blatant.
Yeah.
And
So
you're charging people for this, obviously.
yeah, it's a business. So I guess you could think about. I mean, it's kind of like a bed and breakfast, except we're not serving breakfast, and there's a schedule of activities to participate in, like yoga or meditation or writing and journaling exercises, painting. Where a hotel, I think, is really, you're just staying there, it's just a bed. You don't even really hang out in the hotel.
Right.
So there'll be some time that people spend there in the house, but there'll be a lot of time that is spent, in more, in the community. And of course, this was, I started the purchase of this property back in December, pre-coronavirus. So, being in the community now, bringing people from Massachusetts to Vermont to go to restaurants and things isn't even something that's doable right now, given the status of where we are with the pandemic. So, so I think there are some, distinct differences from a hotel.
Well, you're bringing up another very important point because of the situation with the COVID, that now you crossed state lines. You're now required to quarantine for 14 days. So your 2 to 5 nights is being out of the bounds.
Yeah, like I said, in the context of where we are right now, this isn't happening. I'm not, this is all something that began prior to the pandemic. So we could just be going through the motions, because if things, until things are, the virus is well managed and we're able to cross borders freely and safely, then this is still just in an idea.
So your idea or your immediate plans are to basically leave it in a holding pattern until the virus clears?
Yeah, I mean, I'll use it as a place to go for myself and my family and our dog. We're gonna go up there this weekend and do some painting and hang out in the house. And that's, we can't, I mean, certainly I'm not going to do anything, unethical in terms of bringing people from Massachusetts or any other state into Vermont, where I would be following, you know, whatever the guidelines are.
Other than yourself,
I'm sorry.
other than yourself.
Well, I'll be at that.
Yourself from Massachusetts.
I'm bringing myself from Massachusetts. Yeah.
But we're a little concerned about that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going out to any restaurants.
I'd like to interject. This is David Hull. I have a question just because I feel like I'm always in this situation with the DRB and that I'm confused. So it seems to me that if Kay bought this house and if it sounds like she's limited by septic, but if she wanted to put this place on Airbnb right now, in theory, she could have this place booked all summer with people coming up. Is that correct? Is there anything that's stopping her from doing that?
Yeah.
From a zoning point of view, not really.
Well, we don't have a,
After she had the permits in place.
But what does she need a permit for to have a short-term rental there right now?
We would need a permit from the Department of Fire Safety for egress windows, railings on stairs, railings for the deck. I don't know, Kay, if you've even contacted them for the Department of Fire Safety since it's a public building or it's turning into a public building.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So,
Probably the answer to
so
that.
structures that are being used for Airbnb within the town of Newfane are considered a public building, or hers is?
well, we're
If you're
in a
renting,
state of flux with, you know, we don't have a clear regulation for short-term rentals. That's a work in progress right now. So what we have been doing is basically we've had a moratorium on new Airbnbs and short-term rentals because we don't have the regulations in place to cover them at all.
And when you say that we have a moratorium on them, that means that if someone applies to the town, because most people don't apply to the town, they just put their place on Airbnb.
correct.
Okay.
I guess we
Okay,
can-
thank you.
Well, I would, just in response to David, Ken Esty here, Chair of the Planning Commission, is that while I think your direction of your questions, gets at, a very important consideration with respect to Airbnb or short-term rentals. But the question on the table right now, though, is a nature retreat.
Correct.
So while on the one hand, it would seem like, well, what's good for short-term rentals, what's the issue for a nature retreat? But in fact, we're talking about a nature retreat or a wellness retreat under the conditions that Kay has laid out. So whatever is going on with short-term rentals, it's important, but on the table, it seems, at least for me anyway, this is about a nature retreat and the conditions under which this would prevail. Or not.
Yes, and that sounds, to me, that's important. But and maybe it's just where we are with the short-term rentals in Newfane and how it's been kind of on the shelf for a bit. But my understanding with Airbnb anywhere in Vermont right now is that if people are renting it out legally within the state, that if people want to come up for the weekend and you can host 10 people in your space, if it's a yoga instructor and their students that are renting it and they are taking trips and they're going to the farmer's market and they're going swimming, it doesn't matter if that's what is happening or if it is two families that are coming up and they're just staying there playing Monopoly the whole time.
Except in the case that we're talking about with Kay, she's talking about having supervision. They're organized and supervised by the resident leaders. And it's not, whereas with an Airbnb, people come and they're on their own to develop their own recreation and their own activities.
And that may be true, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it sounds to me like what Kay is suggesting is that someone will be in charge, yes, but it's not her, and it's not someone that she is hiring. It is someone that is paying the money to use this space, and then they are on their own leading the activities that they want to lead.
Is that about it, Kay?
Yes, I mean, it will be approved by me, what it is that they'll be doing, and there'll be a contract for them to sign, but that's true. I won't be there to supervise in person.
And they'll be basically developing their own programs, and you won't be doing the programs, they will.
Right.
So you really sublease this place.
That's my understanding. It's a short-term rental, and so if whether or not it's a yoga instructor leading a course, or whether it's something that turns into a 300-person party, we don't really know. But I think I just need to make sure that I understand as the DRB what we are saying we are allowing here, because in my mind, Kay has the chance right now just to put it on some sort of short-term rental platform and use it however she wants to, unless she is breaking any sort of septic law or parking law or whatever might be on the books already.
If I may.
It's making a commercial neighborhood.
And that's what we're having issues with, changing this from a residential location to a commercial neighborhood. We bought this house, we've lived here, it's been really quiet, it's been peaceful, we've been here for years. We don't want this to be a commercial area, and that's, my 2 cents. We don't, we didn't buy this house to be next door to a commercial business.
Mm-hmm.
If you were on 10 acres of land somewhere and we had, that would be it. But we've got this shared driveway. There's like you're maybe on half an acre, your other half is down the slope, and your land is like pretty much right near ours. I mean, most of your usable land is on the other, you've got stuff on the other side of the garage that's like right near our house. Again, that's our concern, that there's all these people. It's not a family that's renting this place. It's, strangers. We don't know who they are. We're not going to get to know them as neighbors. People coming and going all week, every week,
And I would assume that's weekends too, probably. People be there on the
Mhm.
weekend.
So with Newfane not necessarily having a solid definition or understanding yet of short-term rentals, and I may be wrong about that, but I'm under the impression that we're not fully there with the definitions that we like. Again, I want to ask, is there anything right now that's stopping Kay from putting this on Airbnb or another one of those short-term rental platforms and having it used all the time with people coming in, as long as she's staying under anything with septic limits or parking? Like, I don't understand why we're calling this a commercial venture if she could just be doing this right now, starting today, if that is the way that it could go.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, that the direction, those are the questions that we in our deliberative session will have to wrestle with. And we at this point are eliciting information, background information that we will be using to come to our decision as to what is this proposal includes and what it amounts to.
May I interject just a thought that came out of the planning commission, that one of the concerns is that people from outside the area, the state particularly, come in, purchase properties, and then start to use them as bed and breakfasts, kind of, or short-term rentals, whatever you want to call it. And that then not being on site, available to monitor and to be available for whatever needs to be taken care of those properties. It's like absentee landlordism.
Well,
Is that
this is-
correct, Ken? Do I have an understanding
Well,
of that? Correct?
Yeah, as the chair of the planning commission and having, you know, conducted any number of planning commission meetings in which the subject has come up about short-term rentals, the issue of absentee owners has been raised as an objection to short-term rentals. So yeah, that concern is present here in Newfane, but you know, David is correct, or you're heading in the right direction. At this point in time, the zoning bylaw does not have any language about short-term rentals. But it seems to me, going back to the application, it's a change of use application, as I understand it. And so
Yeah.
that's what's being deliberated over, is the actual parameters of the application at 25. So that's what I understand to be, you know, the subject tonight anyway.
If I may interject again, if you look at the application to the Development Review Board on the first page, there are the place for type of application, please check 1. None is checked, so we don't know what we're looking at. So one of the things we have to get to is taking the information that we have available to us, making a determination as to where this falls and what we must do as a DRB.
Well,
Yes.
Al, do you have something?
No, I was just agreeing with Piet.
Okay. I would say this: if the members of the public that had a say as much as they want, and Kay, if you feel like you've responded to us and given us enough information, and based on what Pete is talking about, I would probably close the hearing and go into deliberative session and hash this out between the DRB members of what we interpret is going on here. We have 45 days to make a decision, and we possibly could be contacting Ken through the Planning Commission to get some feedback on that. It's not simple, and we won't want it to make it simple that, you know, you bought a house and people are coming up, and David Hull could be correct that if you had done it a little bit differently, if you had said, I'm just going to rent this to whoever for the weekends, if they want to do yoga, they can bring up 6 people to do yoga. That would be a different story. But like Ken says, we're dealing with somebody that's applying for a nature retreat, and we're trying to determine this. And one of the first things that I did when I saw this was I went to the rural district definition or purpose. And it does say that it avoids unreasonable burdens on town roads and services or other adverse impact on the rural character. So I think the neighbors are sort of saying, I have this really quiet 3 houses on a dead end road, and now there's going to be something different. Now, if you moved there and you had 8 kids and 3 dogs and a Harley Davidson, nobody could say anything because it's a single family residence. But you're coming there saying, I want to, and it's not you that's saying, I'm bringing people up for help or whatever help they're getting. We all need help. Is that you're saying, I'm renting it to somebody that will come up and do yoga. So I can see the neighbors are concerned with this nice little thing, and every weekend there's going to be people taking walks by, stopping. And I know it's a nice objective of what you're trying to do, but I do see that I'm concerned about that a little bit on my part in the DRB of trying to read it. And what we do, we don't try to make personal decisions on things. We try as hard as we can to look at the bylaw and to try to understand. What could come out of this too is that there could be a denial that you can't do it at all, or there could be you get it and you can do it, or there could be that you get it with conditions. And one of the things that's come up that I've heard is that the septic system design for sleeping in the house is limited to 7 people. Let's say 7 people, I think it is. But somebody that's doing a retreat here that you say you can go up and bring students, clients to this, they could say, well, only 7 can stay at the house, but we can have another 5 people there. We can have up to 12, 13, 20 that are outside doing yoga or whatever. And those people have to stay at the 4 columns, or they have to stay at another bed and breakfast or an Airbnb. So it's not like we're limiting it just by the septic to 7 people. Somebody that's renting it from you, if they don't know that there's a limit on how many people they can bring, they could open it up to as many as they want, just say, well, only 7 are sleeping here. So
Yes.
Our DRB has about, in this little town of Newfane, has about a half a dozen of these meetings a year, and most of them are very insignificant. Somebody wants to put a little addition on their house, and they want to put it within the 5 feet into the setback, and the neighbor that's house was built 100 years ago is that way, so why can't I do it? This is a different story, and it's like one of your neighbors said, it's not like you purchased a piece of property on 10 acres with a pond and land and areas to go, all of your listing of things to do. Nobody, there's not going to be really any cross-country skiing on your property, or even maybe snowshoeing a little bit. So everybody's going to get there and then go out to do things. And when, I live at the end of a dirt road too. And if I saw cars coming by on the weekends, it would be different than your neighbor going by. Like you said, I'm moving in, I'm new, here's my family and my dog. Oh yeah, I'll come get my dog. It ran away again. It wouldn't be as much of an issue, but that's what I'm seeing. We also have a town plan, and the town plan, which is written again through and with the planning commission, there's definitions in there again of somebody coming in and wanting to do something, and does it adversely affect the neighborhood? And so that was one of the first things I saw. Does something like this, and I think some of your neighbors were saying, are these people that have a little bit of a mental issue and they're going to be talking to my 8-year-old son over there? And I'm, wait a minute, there is an elementary school nearby. Are people going to? So this is the kind of issues that we're seeing. And what you've described sounds like a wonderful thing. It does. It sounds like people can come and re-energize and do it in the country as opposed to their backyard, where might be a little bit different. So if everybody has had an opportunity to speak, I don't want anybody to go away that didn't say what they want to say, then I would say that I would take a motion to go into deliberative session. And what that'll mean is that the members of the DRB would stay on this, and we would decide whatever we're going to decide. So if everybody's had the Goozers used, and Terry, everybody's all set?
Yeah, we're good.
You were good.
Fine, thank you.
Okay, so you can say goodnight, and we'll just stay with the DRB members. I don't think, Merle, I don't know if you need to stay on, if you're still there. Ken, I don't know if you have to stay on, and you need to stay on from Brattleboro Community TV.
Your deliberative sessions amount to the same thing as an executive session, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, they're similar.
Will you come back from your deliberative session with any decisions?
I would have to talk to the Development Review Board to see if we now have 6 members here. and whether they want to do that, make a decision tonight, or whether they feel like they want to regroup, do some research, and come back. I don't know.
I think the point is we may not be able to, and we don't know that now.
Yeah. I guess-
Before I say, because I should be going, right? I just want to say thank you to, I don't know if my neighbor's already gone, but,
No,
oh, are they still on? Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to everyone for, spending this hour, discussing this and considering my proposal. And I just appreciate you all, your feedback and input and consideration.
You're welcome.
All that. So,
Thank you.
all right.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night, Kate.
Bye.
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 So does anybody want to,
So, Dave,
I make a motion to go into the deliberative session.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay, so we're going into deliberative session. Let's talk about a week from Thursday. Can I have a motion
Yeah,
to,
I'd make a motion that we reconvene a week from Thursday,
At
7
a
o'clock.
time? Okay, time and
By
whether,
Zoom.
okay.
And, but that'd be
How do we-
subject to Zoom being able to accommodate us. I think Zoom works.
Yeah, and Walter, we could also, if there's a group of people that are happy to meet downtown, so there's, 4 of us down there at somewhere, and then the rest can Zoom in. I mean, that could work too.
I would not have a problem with that. I would not have a problem meeting at the town office and standing outside for half an hour as long as it's not snowing.
Well, a lot of us can't necessarily be there then.
No, people can still, it sounds like the suggestion is do it just like this, but maybe there's a group of 4 people that are all you're seeing on one screen type of thing. It just might be easier for some people to do it that way.
Or if you
Uh,
can't be there, if we can figure out how to do the Zoom again, which it seems like this has worked out. If you can't be there before the meeting, you could send an email with your view on the subject. But I think we are beating this thing up, and I don't know,
Yeah,
doesn't sound like anybody right now probably has a real 100% view of what we should be doing. And I'm thinking that I want to think about it a little bit.
yeah, I guess I need to. Where do we stand on the meeting then? We're on Thursday, 7 o'clock, and I'm a little lost. Are we doing it by Zoom or by face-to-face?
Let's just say Zoom.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
say
really
Zoom.
like the Zoom, and I guess I'm old enough to worry about face-to-face contact.
Okay.
It's more because of the logistics of, some of us are not going to be here necessarily to be there face to face. Even, I don't care about the face to face. I'm not worried about that so much as the logistics of being around to do that.
So we're agreeing that we go by Zoom?
Yes,
Okay.
that would be my
Call
suggestion.
in. And we'll just figure out a time. We have to find out from everybody, do they want to do it again at 6:30?
And I guess Zoom, I guess we got to make sure that Zoom can accommodate us too, right?
No, someone just has to set up the meeting.
It was set up by BCTV. You could
Yeah.
call Winetta and she can take care of the details.
Yeah.
That's part of her job.
Okay. Is that
Okay.
correct? That the,
So 7 o'clock Thursday, hopefully by Zoom.
okay.
That's a
So
motion.
do I have a
All right.
motion to recess?
I presume somebody's going to send out an email giving the details, the link and the codes and all that stuff to the telephone
Yeah, we'll
numbers.
do a better job this time. The
It
second
would-
time will be more specific.
May I
Okay.
make one comment before we break?
Sure.
My sense was that the neighbors were quite, I don't know what the proper word is, but they were ameliorated, calmed down by her response to their questions about the character of the people that she would have coming to the to
Oh,
her
yeah,
meeting.
well, that was huge. I was pretty.
Throwing that
bummed
out. I don't need a response. I don't need an argument. I'm just saying that was my impression.
Well, you're right. I think
We
you're
have a
right.
motion to recess this meeting.
Second
moved.
motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Second,
Okay, so
third,
we'll
fourth.
get Leslie Group added next Thursday. Thank you,
Okay.
all of your
Thanks,
input,
David.
everybody.
Thanks, David.
Good
Excellent,
job.
excellent
We'll
communication.
see you.
Bye-bye.
Great.
Hey, can I?
Bye-bye. Good night.